Hello everyone, welcome to the IJD podcast. We're the official journal of the International Society of Dermatology. I am Lily Becke.
And I am Anita Biro. We are the editorial managers of the IJD. In this podcast series, we'll spotlight the dedicated professionals who help shape our journal, including section editors, selected reviewers, and authors.
Stay tuned for a closer look at the people behind IJD.
In this podcast episode, we will be talking about our new initiatives, including the introduction of junior editor position at the IJD and the DermReview Mentorship Program. We are pleased to welcome Dr. Géza Nagy, junior editor and DermReview Mentor, along with Dr. Mohammad Almakrami, a DermReview Mentee, to our discussion. Let's start the introduction of Dr. Géza Nagy. He's a board-certified dermatologist and clinical immunologist working at the University of Szeged, Department of Dermatology and Allergology. His work spans patient care, clinical research, as well as mentoring students in the field of dermatology and an assistant lecturer. His academic advances, coupled with his PhD in the field of vasculitis, has produced several presentations and conferences and research papers published in high-ranking journals. As of 2024, he has also taken a role in as junior editor in the International Journal of Dermatology, and he is the first mentor in the DermReview Mentorship Program. This is our pilot project. So, Géza, you are the junior editor at the IJD, assisting Professor Bata, the deputy editor of the journal. Could you please share a few words about what motivated you to join the IJD editorial board?
Thank you so much, Professor. It's a privilege to be part of the broadcast, so thank you so much for inviting me. I think the initiative for me to joining the editorial board stems from my deep passion for, of course, dermatology and clinical immunology. And I find that partaking in reviewing articles also caters to my academical advancement in the field of dermatology and immunology, and also keeps me up to date with the latest data and research, which helps me optimize patient care, and also gives me a little bit of ideas of my future endeavors in terms of clinical research that I might be doing in the future. I highly value high quality publications because I do think they are the forefront runners for advancing not just clinical research, but patient care as well. So being part of that whole process is a privilege.
Yeah, you are already an experienced dermatologist, double license in dermatology and allergology, clinical immunology, and you are also a chef of a ward dealing with a lot of inpatients. So what is your main field of interest and what is your main research field?
I think my main interest is vasculitis and vasculopathy in general. But in terms of clinical perspective, I also am very interested in not just autoimmune conditions, but also immune-mediated skin disorders, for example, psoriasis. The reason I'm very invested in vasculitis and vasculopathy is because it shows a very, very complex interplay with regards to the immunological processes, but also the hemostasis of the body. And that field is not yet fully explored, so it leaves room for more research for the future. And by doing so, I do believe that fostering also young researchers in the mentor program allows me to expand further and also get new and fresh insights in potential perspectives that I might have not looked at in the previous years. And I think it will have a great benefit in the future.
Yeah, I really enjoyed your recent paper that were published in the IJD as a commentary of a paper. Could you a little bit elaborate what was this paper commentary about?
Yes, absolutely. It was a paper about revisiting perineoplastic acrovascular syndrome. It was submitted as a commentary because I read in the last published GID booklet a very interesting case where authors described a case of a female patient with a pernoplastic phenomenon resulting in vasculitis and vasculoplastic features of the acral areas. And since I'm very invested in the connection between the innate immune system and hemostasis, this really spiked my interest because in the last few years, we have gained so much insight of the implicate connections between these two processes. And we now know that these are not necessarily black and white that we might have originally thought many, many years ago. And in the precipice of this conundrum are neutrophils in particular, and the way they can release neutrophil extracellular traps, which then trigger immunothrombosis. And in the past 5 years, I believe, we have also gained knowledge about that in cancer patients, cancer cells can actually produce certain signaling molecules, interleukins, which can trigger neutrophils to undergo this whole process and create immunothrombosis.
Yeah, you were always investigating this issue, and we had a lot of discussion with Professor Bata about vasculitis and vasculopathy, and this is, I think, what you, as you mentioned, it is not a black and white situation. That could be something in between these two conditions. This is really extremely interesting. Back to the journal. As junior editor, how do you feel? What is the biggest problem being as an editor or junior editor? What are the major problems you have to deal with? We got more than 4,000 papers, and many of these 4,000 manuscripts you have to deal with us together. How do you see this whole publication industry?
Right. I think the first step in actually receiving an article is to actually find and identify people in that specific field that I know will be able to provide proper feedback and very valuable critiques for said manuscripts. Another big factor is also, of course, the deadlines, right? Because we have so many articles and we really want to get back to the submitting authors with the proper feedback so they can just improve their manuscript later on. And another thing, I feel like for a lot of these experts that we send articles out to is reviewer fatigue. People with great experience in certain fields can receive so many manuscripts that they are almost inclined to, unfortunately, decline because of the time constraints. So that really complicates the whole process. But by allowing new people or young career researchers in the whole process of maybe as a mentor-mentee program that you originally mentioned allows for a buffer capacity of maybe properly keeping timestamps, keeping timelines, and maybe alleviate the pressure of actually some of those reviewers.
Yeah, every editor struggles with the same problem, finding good reviewers for the manuscripts. Experienced reviewers are usually overloaded with different tasks. They are usually board members of different societies. They are chairmen, chairwomen of departments. They do have also many other different functions as leaders in the university. So we have overloaded with different tasks, and especially those colleagues who have the most expertise in a different field, they are really overloaded. On the other hand, we do have really young, highly motivated students who actually are not known by the editors, and we cannot invite them because they are unknown, although they are motivated. So this is a gap, and realizing this gap, we introduced the IJD Mentorship Program. When the mentor and the mentee will receive the same manuscript, they will review the paper separately, And then after completing the review, they will share their experiences, and the younger reviewer, mostly derm residents or younger colleagues, we learn how to evaluate a manuscript, and this is also a learning process. And so you are the first DermReview mentor, and we have the mentee with us, Dr. Mohammad Almakrami, who is the first DermReview mentee. So let me introduce briefly Mohammad Almakrami. He's a master graduate in medicine with first-class honors in the University of Szeged. His academic journey has been marked by excellence in research and education, earning him the Best Teacher Assistant Award. Passionate about dermatology, he is an active member of Saudi Dermatology Journal Club and the Saudi Society of Dermatology and Dermatologic Surgery Club. With multiple ongoing and published studies, and he has also presented his data in international conferences, and he also contributes actively to the medical education as a pathology teaching assistant. So, Mohammed, you are the first mentee at the IJD Mentorship Program. This is a pilot program, and now if it is successful, we will continue. We have already many applicants. So could you share, please, a few words about what motivated you to join to the program, and what are your further plans?
First, I would like to thank you, Prof, for inviting me over to this podcast. I appreciate it. And honestly, for being the first mentee in this mentorship program, I feel really honored for that. At the beginning, I joined the program to improve my peer review and research skills while learning from experts. And honestly, it's been a great opportunity to refine my critical analysis and engage in meaningful discussion. For the future, I aim to continue doing research in dermatology, hopefully, continue publishing, and hopefully one day I will be one of the mentorship mentors from this program, mentors, not mentee.
Yeah, correct. I still remember when we first met at the Department of Dermatology, and you were asking me to give you a letter of recommendation because you want to be a dermatologist. And I said you that, okay, but it doesn't work in that way. You have to work a little bit. And I offered you to join to this mentorship program. This is a pilot project with Géza and you. And if it turns out that you are really hard worker and you are doing a lot and you are reviewing a lot of papers and you learn from reviewing the papers, then I can write you a letter of recommendation. But I did actually, because you were really great in this task. So, what is your thoughts about this mentorship program? Did you find this initiative useful?
Absolutely. It has been invaluable in improving my critical thinking, scientific writing, peer review skills, the structure of mentorship, and the personalized feedback from my mentors have significantly helped me refine my research evaluation. At the beginning, when I compare my first evaluation of some manuscripts to the last one, I could see the huge tremendous increase in research evaluation skills. And honestly, I do really I highly recommend it to young dermatologists to join this mentorship program.
Yeah, this is excellent, but it can work only if we, the mentor and the mentee, discuss the reviews, and from that we all can learn. Actually, we have had papers that you were reviewing, and I was another reviewer as a mentor, and we discussed together. And even I have learned something from you, and I noticed something that you recognized and I was not recognizing. So this is really very nice. Géza, what is your thoughts about this interaction in between mentor and mentee?
I pretty much couldn't agree more. Other than critical thinking, I think the main thing, the most valuable that from my perspective that came through this whole program was the fresh perspective from a mentee when reviewing an article, which not only provides insight to me, but of course a new perspective in terms of insight to the article, the publisher of the article. And along those lines, I think it can also create an environment for very constructive discussions, and which can later on result in commentaries and other short communications and discussions. So it can sprout actually more articles on the matter. So I think that's very crucial for advancing further researches and looking at new questions that we didn't really think about.
Yeah, I think this is important that when we are talking about this mentorship program, that we have one highly experienced reviewer and another one who is less experienced, maybe have never done a review. So as editors, we must not ask the DermReview Mentee to review a huge paper with 30 pages because for that one, you need expertise. You need clinical expertise. Therefore, for this, at the first 2 years, I think that only short papers, short letters are those ones that should be asked by the DermReview mentees. Otherwise, this is would not go to the right direction. So, how do you see, Géza, this publication industry in general?
I do see a trend towards people actually submitting research letters, short communications. And I think the best value in that is that people are able to output either new results, but also clinical observations with a very, very fast pace. Rather than going the traditional route of maybe writing up an original article, which might be more time consuming in general to get it published. So if I think about research advancement, I think short communications can keep up with the fast pace of the research field.
Yeah, usually if we have a nice paper, even a very nice paper, then most of the colleagues can read only the abstracts because of everyone is in time pressure. And we cannot simply read 20 pages with 15 supplementary tables and so on. Of course, these are important for those ones who are dealing with a specific research question, and this is their topic. But most of the papers are not that. They do not belong to this category. So this is a interesting situation. I could imagine actually that only the short content would be published, and all the other ones would be as a supplementary material. If somebody would be interested, can read it. But let's see. And what is the AI? May I ask you, Mohammed, are you using AI? Do you use AI for something?
Of course, I use AI in basically while I study, while I would like to prepare some plans, while I would like to search for new things, because AI tools right now have facilitated a lot of things for us as when I was a medical student, or as now when I'm a doctor, or even as a researcher. So it has a lot of functions that could be used.
Yeah, there are a lot of misuse as well with the AI. We have seen manuscripts that were definitely written by AI, large language models, and currently it is not really possible to exclude by 100% that it was written by AI or not. These AI detectors do not function properly. However, somehow, having seen a lot of papers, I have actually seen all the more than 4,000 papers that I sometimes reject is 3,000, but I have seen all the papers, and you can see already with the structure that this is an AI written something. It is difficult to evaluate it, but it is possible, and it is written in the author's guideline that if an author is using AI, should declare for what purpose was it used. It must not be written by AI, but for language corrections and so many different tools. When we are using AI, when we are talking about reviewing a papers, it should be clear that currently large language models must not be used to write a review about an unpublished paper, because these are not closed systems yet. And although if you try it with a published paper, how a large language model would review that, you would be surprised. Pretty nice reviews can be written by the AI, but currently it is completely forbidden, because unpublished materials must not be uploaded. So, but other aim of this project is to build networks, not only a mentor and mentee network, because I'm sure that in dermatology meetings we will meet with each other as you have been a mentor, my mentee 10 or 15 years ago, and now you are already a president of something. And it's always good to build such connections. But we want to build a connection not only in between mentor and mentee, but also in between the mentors. And then when we grow, we want to make a connection in between the mentees. And this could be a network. What is your thoughts on this idea? Maybe it is not good. It is crazy. But what is your idea, Géza?
I think it's definitely a good approach. I do think that it all starts with like the direct connection between the mentor and the mentee, right? Because that's where it all stems from. And then later on, when the mentee and the mentor gets to know more other reviewers in the process of reviewing articles in particular, they can branch out and connect with other mentees or mentors. And I think that's a very good growing ground for collaborations in the future, either whether it be research or just reviewing an article. I do believe that specifically this pipeline of bringing in new young researchers in this whole peer review process in general is going to be something that creates a very stable base for a platform of good reviewer environment to grow from.
What is your feeling, Mohammed, on this networking aspect?
Well, to be honest, at the beginning when I joined, I thought it's only about how to learn to do peer reviewing. After a while, the amount of networking opportunities that I have gained through this mentorship program is huge. It's basically like connects the mentees with experienced dermatologists and researchers. And it's like a bridge. This program, I always see it like a bridge between the young mentees and the experienced dermatologists. Having this bridge will help us learn and collaborate, as Dr. Géza said, in future projects. And for me, honestly, I have built a lot of professional relationships through these discussions and feedbacks. I'm sure this will help me and will be valuable in my career, in my future career.
Yeah, I think that networking is probably the most important issue what we have to deal with continuously in many different fields. We know that networks are very important in if you see the society, and I'm not talking about dermatology, but just about the society, networking, who knows whom, and so on. It is, I think it is very important. But if you go to cellular level, if you are thinking on the trunk cells, the epithelial cells that are disconnected from the other neighboring cells will die. But if you are talking about a person who has no connections at all, probably will develop depression and so on. So this is the general thing. To be healthy, we need networkings. And if we have more networks, different levels of networks, and we can join these different network levels together, that is really good in your academic career, in a younger colleague, experienced one as Géza, but also for Mohammed. I think that I encourage you to to build these networks, because these are really very important. If you look at the what our famous dermatology professors did in the 19th century, they were visiting different departments. They were visiting all the European. If you look at the famous guy, independently, who I'm talking about, just pick randomly one, and the famous ones have spent few years in one European city, and another one, a little bit in the States, and so on and so on. We have to see a lot of things. We have to have connections, and we have to be influenced by other colleagues. And this is always a good thing. If you are alone and working in a private practice, with time, it will be, first of all, boring. And second one, you are not influenced by other opinions. And this is, in long term, it is definitely not good. So, Géza, what would you suggest for young dermatologists? How to deal if they want to achieve an academic career?
Yeah, I really do believe that the one thing that they should always do is always aim for more. Never be content with what you have accomplished so far. Always have new aims and goals in life, especially in an academic point of view. I do believe that actually getting into the flow or the whole process of peer review articles is a good starting point, because as Mohammed mentioned earlier, it does drive people to develop critical thinking skills when it comes to reviewing articles. But it also changes the way you might think about developing clinical or experimental research yourself in the future. So I really do believe it has a very good merit to it.
Yeah, what is your feeling about research? Why should younger colleagues do research? What is your thoughts on that?
I think it comes down to that fresh perspective, right? In the process of reviewing articles, we gain the knowledge, almost like, of the experiences of other people, how they do things, what the methodologies are, how they observe patients, how they treat patients. And I think that alone can spark not only just the interest, but new ideas. And that's the whole point in itself with networking as well, what you previously mentioned, Professor, which then allows for collaboration later on.
Yeah, I think that you mentioned that we have to have always new aims, new goals. I think that this is really one of the most critical issues. And we all are overloaded, not just the university professors, but other ones. In younger age, you have other issues. You have to do sport. You have to have family. You have to, especially when I'm talking about females, they have kids and they friends, and we do have hobbies, and we have to do everything. And that this is sometimes not easy, but always good if you have a goal, not a long-term one, but a short-term one. Today, I have to do this one, or today I have to do this one. And then if you break down the many different tasks what you have to do, then you can achieve something. Because sometimes you have many different things and you don't know what to do, because here, there, and everywhere just duties. But then if you say, okay, I know it, but today I will do this one. Because sometimes when you are at home and looking, what should I do? Okay, this is something that I have to do once, but you have to do now, not once, not tomorrow, and so on. You might do something else. To surf a little bit on the social media is sometimes easier, but it's always good if you have a daily task, what I have to do today, and then I think it will be useful for everyone. This was my suggestion for you guys, for young colleagues. And I'd like to thank you, Géza, and also Mohammed, for being with us today. And I wish you all a successful career in your life, probably in dermatology. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you so much.